This is a great move for withdrawal.
I was trying to be engaged, you guys.
Really important.
I am trying to include her in what I feel, what's going on. I actually slowed down. I took time to think about it.
And pursuers don't like getting it wrong or don't like being called out when they do.
Yeah.
And so I knew I was going to try to minimize his pain. Connecting couples with the real Imhoffs.
Hi, I'm Chad Imhoff.
And I'm Angela Imhoff, and this is episode 5 of our series, our 4th series, which is The Anatomy of a Fight. We have been breaking down our fights for you and explaining in the context of what we explained to you was temp. That's the acrostic that we use for that trigger that we see, then our body registering it, going into our head, that cognitive part is our meaning, and then the behavior that we do, then our partner sees that, it starts temp on their side, and before you know it, we are in the dance, we're in the cycle, we're in the fight.
Doing the thing we don't want to do.
Feels yuck. And so, boy, do we have a convoluted fight for you this time.
Whew.
We
It's
call
a tough
it
one, man.
the chair.
The chair. Okay, you guys. I don't know about y'all, but I've got a thing. I'm kind of nostalgic. Almost everything in my office I picked. Like I'm like, these are things I want. They mean something. They maybe even have like metaphor behind them. They came from somewhere. And so I only add things to my office and I try to take things out of my office that I don't want or get rid of them. And we do that in our life somewhat. Angela's kind of shaking her head slow because I don't really do that. But we try to.
He doesn't get rid of things. He doesn't purge. I'm the purger of the two of us.
Here we are, and I'm at this shop, and I see this chair. It's like
thrift store, not a shop, a thrift store,
like a boutique. It was a fancy boutique, not one of those secondhand stores. No, it was. I think it was like a Goodwill or Potter's House. You know, one of these
Yep.
Thrift stores. And I see this chair, and it has on it like it's gray. It's kind of retro. You know, it's Angela wouldn't call it. She's making faces again.
I am. I'm gonna just move the story forward. Now, the reason that we're talking about this is because the convoluted side of it. In the first fight we brought you, remember the sunflower table. The concept was that the withdrawer didn't show his work, and so the pursuer kind of felt betrayed or left out when the withdrawer went a different direction.
Yeah.
So really, we kind of played that out. Now, in the second fight we brought you, the bike, again, we talked about the idea that
I came forward, the withdrawer comes forward with something, but then
it gets
doesn't really
kind of
fight for what they want.
Shut down, but by my questioning, even though I was trying to approach it really open up space, the shortcut in his brain went to, she's asking me too many questions, it's not worth it. And so we in those two fights kind of were clearly showing these moves of what it looks like for the withdrawer to come forward, for the pursuer to open up space and slow down, trying to really help you guys understand what is happening in the middle of the fight. The reason this one is really convoluted, and we've talked about this when we did our basic series, and we really talked about the longing that we have, all of us as humans, to be able to share, right? It's that principle of the kind of a biblical principle. They were naked and they felt no shame. They were emotionally bare to each other and they didn't feel inadequate. They felt responded to. And so the idea for us is that in my deepest pain or in my moment, I can share that pain with my partner, even if my partner is the one who caused the pain, and my partner will be able to, we broke this down in the anatomy of a repair, respond to me in a way that catches me, that resolves it, and vice versa. This one is a doozy because
it's a little tricky. Yeah.
There was a lot of triggering happening. I was being triggered. He was being triggered. His trigger triggered my trigger, and I triggered him some more. And before you know it, it was a
like
mess.
I said, it was a great chair.
So it starts with a chair. Chad purchased a chair. I'm going to be real honest with you. It's hideous. It was a hideous olive green, old university chair that was in some
Arkansas
classroom.
had the insignia on it.
He bought it for $5, and it was that chair that if you leaned back too much,
I don't know if it was $5.
It was maybe $3.
It could have been $10.
And when you leaned back, it almost felt like you were going to topple over backwards.
It probably just need to be tightened up a little.
So he brought it to his work. It didn't fit under his desk, and so he decided to try to bring it home. It didn't match anything at home or didn't fit, and so then he decided it needed to go into my office at work. And
no, you asked for a chair one time.
I needed a chair. He volunteered that one. It didn't go under my desk either. At any rate, the chair had been moved around. He was really trying to cling on to it. I was trying to let it go. I had the chair and I was moving offices. I kind of got a little bit of an upgrade and was moving offices. And I had, Chad and I share friends and I knew there were some of the guy friends that he has that were able to help me move some stuff. And
there was a men's meeting that night that
and they
my
were going
friends
to be
were
there.
at, and they were going to be there, and they could help her move some stuff, and I had to work late or whatever. And I
And
just
he
said, hey,
even
could you
said,
guys help?
hey, ask the guys. And so I did. And so a couple of Chad's friends came and helped me move my office. And so as stuff was coming out of my office, I had like basically 3 designated landings for the material. 1, a truck that was going to be donated. 1, a truck that was going to move to my new office, and the dumpster was the 3rd place. And so stuff was coming out, and I'm like, yeah, dumpster. Okay, that's a donation. That's my office. We're, just
sorting through the
I
stuff.
was directing traffic, and out comes this chair.
You guys can see it coming.
My first instinct was the dumpster, but I didn't do the dumpster.
That's just
I sent
sad.
it back to the place from whence it came, and we donated it. And the real kicker was that I said to, first of all, when Chad got the chair, he was like, if you ever get rid of this chair, please tell me.
I specifically said, I'm going to take it to your office, but don't get rid of the chair.
So that was years, like 2, maybe years before. And
Maybe
so
2.
I thought it had been enough time. We had moved on. He had purchased a few more chairs for his office. His office space had also grown. And so here comes the chair, and I'm like, let's donate that. But I said to one of his best friends, actually, I'm like, but don't tell Chad. He'll be upset about the chair. I know. You're like, oh gosh, she's really in trouble. I did a bad thing.
What did he say? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't want to get involved in that.
Don't involve me in this. Yeah.
Oh, God bless him. He's great.
He's like, that's not my thing.
Yeah.
You do what you want.
Okay, so cut to later that evening, I come home, and Chad is like, how'd the move go? And I went, great. And so we're just kind of talking, and I'm like, how'd your day go? He's like, that's fine. And I'm like, oh, by the way, if your office has an extra office chair, I'm going to need one. And as soon as I said it, I knew, I shouldn't have said that, because now that has just given him the clue that I got rid of his chair. And so he said,
what happened to my chair?
And I just denied. I was like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. Lied.
What
That
chair?
That's a lie.
Is
I was
what
like,
I heard.
What
chair? Yeah.
And he's like, the chair I told you not to get rid of. And I was like, oh, that old thing. Oh, we donated it. And he was like, what do you mean? I specifically told you not to donate it. And then I said, I knew you would get upset about that stupid chair.
You said I knew you would overreact.
About that stupid chair, which is why I told your friend not to tell you that I donated it.
Is anybody else offended right now? Because I'm pretty offended.
I, first of all, have re-listened to The Anatomy of a Repair, the entire series, and done a really good repair on this. So Chad and I have we have made up. I have recognized the error of my ways. And so now we need to kind of break down what happened. So here we are. I have said to Chad, I got rid of something you said you didn't want me to get rid of. And I could tell it hit him really bad. Now this is where the convoluted part comes in. We had company over that night, and they happened to be in the other room, and they were playing with our daughter at the time, but the conversation was elevated enough that they could hear something was going on. And have you ever just kind of locked it down for the company's sake? But everybody knows the tension is so thick. And so Chad, we both just lock it down and go engage, and we engage the company.
And we have
fine.
a good night for the most part.
Yeah. But underneath, the low rumble is I got rid of his chair, and the low rumble is she got rid of my chair. We're both clearly still having to get into this. So after our company leaves, he comes back. This is a great move for withdrawal.
I was trying to be engaged, you guys.
Really important.
I am trying to include her in what I feel, what's going on. I actually slowed down. I took time to think about it.
And pursuers don't like getting it wrong, or don't like being called out when they do. Yeah. And so I knew I was going to try to minimize his pain. And so he came to me and he said, I just feel betrayed. And betrayed.
I said, I want to clear it up. I said, Ange, I don't think it's about the chair. It's not that I'm so attached to the chair. I thought through it in my head. I'm like, I could go get another chair. I could find that chair. I could go to Potter's house. I know people there. I could probably.
We could probably go get it right now. We could make a call and go get the chair.
I'm like, it's not about the chair. It's just, I just feel betrayed.
And when he said that word betrayed, that was a trigger word for me, because that is something from my past, a different relationship that I had that I really got hurt by when somebody felt that. And so that hit my body like, oh no, that's the worst case scenario. He feels betrayed. And so I tried.
Immediately, I saw her face change too.
I tried at first to dismiss it and blame him. And so I said something along that betrayed. It's just a chair. Like, get over yourself. You're overreacting. This is your fault. Don't take it in. And that's also a family of origin thing. I think that happens, sadly, sometimes in my family. If you bring your pain forward, are very good reasons that we do the things we do. Nobody likes to find out they hurt someone. So if you got hurt, it was your fault. You got hurt.
Yeah.
That's a move that I learned well. And so I first blamed him, but then I just shut down.
Yeah.
And so he just opened up and said, I feel betrayed. Ideally, in that, if we're doing a good repair, you guys remember from the anatomy of a repair, is that I can see he felt betrayed. I caused that pain. I could recognize the weight of what I did to him. I can apologize, help him understand. That is a good repair. That is not what happened at all.
Didn't go that way, you guys.
He said betrayed, and that sent me.
She was gone.
I was gone. I shut down really, really bad.
And Angela gone doesn't mean like
mad for a reason, and like
it's like tension in the room. You can tell there's smoke coming out of her ears. Like it was like I'm like I literally just did exactly the right thing. I think.
Yeah.
Like I'm like
he really
now
played
she's
it out
freaking
right,
out.
But
like
it didn't land with me. And so here's the hard part is we're in the heat of. Now, what is a fight? I did something bad. I got rid of his chair. It was offensive what I did. And even the way I kind of did it. And then I tried to play it off like it was nothing. He was able to bring his feelings forward. But in the moment, I was a bad human. And I just...
I mean, you weren't a bad human. I apologize. But
I was a bad human. I did a bad thing.
Yeah,
and then in the moment, he says this and it sends me to a really bad place. And so we have the rest of our routine, right? We still have a 4-year-old. That's the hard part is that we have kids. Right, all of us that have families sometimes have these fights right in the midst of the family who now it's bedtime. We've got to do, get in your pajamas, take the bath, get in the bed,
brush
read
the
the
teeth,
story,
all
brush.
the stuff. Yeah.
So there are logistics that are trying to play out in the midst of him feeling betrayed and me completely shut down. And so
give me 2 seconds.
Go.
It's impressive how resourceful we are to get life done. I mean, it's crazy that and I think that's part of our protection.
Yeah.
So I want to honor that a little bit. Like somehow we can still raise kids, do jobs, and have this like hugely difficult fight going on underneath the surface sort of. So on one hand, I'm like, how do we get through that when it feels this bad? But it feels that bad and we're not being very effective in most other places. Anyway, keep going.
I almost think that saves us a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Because had we just tried to unpack it, it was too fresh.
Yeah.
We didn't have the words to it. Like part of this is the process of feeling through what is happening, going into my own head silently, not to somebody else, and going, what do I feel? And we had enough, I'm going to say skill, to really start breaking down. Like Chad just said, I had thought through it enough to recognize it wasn't the chair, and I knew it felt something else, and he wanted to put words to it. That is somebody who is...
That's advanced.
That's advanced. That is somebody who is aware of the process that's happening, which is really what we're trying to help you do, the listener, is to really start to unpack and be self-aware of what's happening, why it's happening, what it's attached to, what the meaning is, how you're interacting, all of it. And so here we are in this moment, and it was almost like a safe distraction that our daughter at that point needed us to get on with the routine. Bedtime, so our bedtime routine is we get Avery in her pajamas, Chad reads her a story, then I'm a take a shower at night person, and he's a take a shower in the morning person. And so I'm in the shower. And for me, water is always soothing to me. And as I'm in there, just kind of standing, I wasn't even like showering. I was just like standing in the water, melting down.
Yeah.
Because I started to remember why the word betrayed felt so bad. That was really a situation in my first marriage. You guys know we've both been married and our relationships ended in a divorce. And I just remember what betrayal felt like. And that when in my past experience relationship, betrayal meant the end. And the fact that he brought that heavy of a word to something that I felt like was a minor offense was really hard for me. And so I am in the shower, standing there, the water's running over me, and I start kind of playing out, I'm going to probably have to get my own apartment. This is going to be the end. And we have to sort out who's going to be picking Avery up when, on which days, as we sift out the custody and who's going to get the furniture and who's going to get the dogs. And I laugh now because, golly, it seems dramatic. But let me tell you, when we get in these heated, heavy situations, and the meaning hijacks us, and our offense hijacks us, and our limbic system goes offline, and we're in protection. In that moment, I thought, I've betrayed him, and he's going to take that betrayal and hurt me, and I can't be hurt, and so I have to protect myself. And the best thing for me to do is start making a plan. Y'all, that's bad.
It was bad.
It was really bad.
Well, and it's weird because here I am, and I'll play out my side of it a little bit. Here I am, and we're going through the rest of the night, and we're not talking. I mean, it's that cold awkwardness.
The last thing he said to me basically was that I feel betrayed.
And then she shuts down,
silence.
Smoke coming out of her
Radio
ears,
silence.
like clearly like mad, like won't even respond. And we end up kind of wrapping the night up. And we go upstairs, and she's not talking to me. Shower, cleans up, whatever, gets Avery to me. I get Avery. I put Avery down. She goes and does the shower thing. I'm like, I'm laying in bed, and like she takes an extra long time coming to bed, and I'm like, okay, this is weird. And finally, I'm just like, I turn the lights off. I can't remember.
I might on my side. And that's the interesting thing is, like, even when couples go to bed at night, there's usually a routine. Like,
and there's no engagement.
We'll talk. I
There's
said nothing.
Like we go
Turned
right to
off
bed.
the light, and I got in the bed.
And we're laying there, and it's dark.
Silence.
Right?
Yeah. It's the worst. Have you ever just been in the dark, in the bed, lying wide awake, and neither one of you feel like you can say anything? It's so heavy. It's so hard. Oh, I hate that. And that's where we were.
So pause for a second.
Oh, that makes me so sad. Okay, sorry. Pause. Go.
And so what do you say?
I did a move that I learned through this material. I knew that I was upset and I couldn't attack or blame or minimize. The only thing I could try to do was let him into where I was at that moment. That's the move I've learned how to do. That's what I think a lot of times emotionally focused therapy, that is the thing we want to help couples be able to do, is to say, if you can let your partner in on how hard it feels for you right now, and that partner can see it right then, that's really a good step to trying to draw them closer. And so in the dark, in our silence, both feeling really heavy, I said, I don't know how bad it's gotten for you. This makes us both tear up even as we talk about
sad.
it, because
like,
it's
really,
so
it's
hard. Yeah, I said, I don't know how bad it's gotten for you, but for me, it's really like in my mind, I'm figuring out which days we're going to have Avery and who's going to
sort up.
Who's going to
divide up our
school.
life, basically. Yeah.
And I said that, and it was silence. And Chad said,
"You said how bad is it for you?
How bad is it for you?"
And then I'm like,
not that bad.
Not that bad. I'm like, I was gonna order a new bike tonight, but or I was gonna do something. And
but he recognized, whoa.
I'm like, what are you talking about?
What happened?
Like, I tell you I'm betrayed. I'm like, what in the world happened to you? Like, where have you been?
So here is the thing that we really want to kind of bring up, is that the hardest part, we've said this before, whose responsibility is it to make the repair, or to try to do, to try to stop the fight, or to try to come back? And the answer is whoever can.
Yeah.
Ideally, when Chad said, I feel betrayed, Angela, that you did this, I could have said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to betray you. I'm so sorry. But instead, I thought that I had done something so offensive that now he was probably going to make a plan. That was going to be the end. He was done with me. Like, in my mind, that's how bad it got. And so I shut down. I had shame triggers happening. I was in a, I love Brene Brown's work. She said, she would say, I was in a shame spiral going downhill fast. And in the slippery slope of my dissension, I basically said, Chad, throw me a rope here. I'm in a really bad spot. And at that moment, he could have been like, well, you deserve to be there because you treated me bad. Like, he really...
I could have been nasty. I could have been mean. I could have... I guess I could have. I mean, at that point, I'm like, I knew it had gotten really bad. And I don't know. I mean, probably anybody would do this, but I'm like, I don't want it to be this bad. Like, we don't need to divvy up the house over a chair. And it really isn't even about the chair. Like, I'm like, what in the world is she... Like, I don't get what's happening over there. So I'm like, I just want to get her back online.
So he, similar to our last episode when I asked for clarity about the bike, he asked for some clarity. He was actually able to kind of dismiss or set aside his feeling betrayal and recognize that I was kind of in a worse place than he was. And he asked for clarity, like, whoa, what is going on? I was just trying to share my feelings with you, and now you're completely gone. And so I said, well, this is what happened. The last time I heard that word, the marriage ended, and this, and this. And it is just a chair, and I'm trying to think through if I could even get the chair back. And that's when he was like, hold on, let me clarify why I did. The reason I felt betrayed, and he shared, was because I kind of had this little side joke with his friend about not telling him that I had gotten rid of the chair. And that was like an undercutting move.
Yeah.
And that's a horrible move for
Right.
me to have made, because that's where he has had woundedness in his past. And this is the thing that we try to bring up to couples all the time, is that when you start to get to know your partner and you start to have this intimate, secure relationship, and you start to see their weaknesses and you start to see their woundedness and their patterns that they bring to the table from previous relationships, you have two opportunities. You have an opportunity to use it against them. And that's a really bad thing that we see a lot of couples do when they're really in a bad place. Or you have an opportunity to meet them in that space and help them heal from it. And that's the direction we want to send couples to. He was able to see that something from a past relationship where I had pain came up. And then he was able to share with me something from a past relationship he had came up. And then I said, man, I am so sorry that is what happened. To my knowledge, and we taught you guys this in the anatomy of repair, I said, to my knowledge, I will never do that again where I try to triangle one of your friends or try to do something like that.
Yeah.
I didn't say I would never purge your items, because he knows that
She's going to sell more of my stuff or give it away, I guess.
But I won't it was the secret part that was really hurtful to him.
Yeah.
And so he had to catch me first. He had to come get me back from where I went away to in order for me to respond to him. Seems unfair, but that is how relationships work sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. We're two flawed, kind of messed up humans who live together, and I don't know very many people that are perfect or have never been hurt or have never made a mistake, right? And so, if we're going to live together, we're going to have to find ways to overcome our flawedness, our brokenness, and so we have to do that for each other. And honestly, it's like if we get a chance to kind of be or give grace to each other, that seems like something that we should do. It seems like the way that we should go. So that's what I kind of think of it as. It's like Angela has this, or I'm hurt in this way, but and I try to bring it to her, and then she has this big response, and I'm like, who's got the energy to give the grace right now? And that's the question.
Yeah.
It's not, in my mind anyway, it's not whether or not I should or shouldn't, or should she have, she should have probably said she was sorry about the chair. And no, she shouldn't have done the thing with my friend saying, hey, don't tell him. Those are bad things to do. But that night I had more energy for the relationship for whatever reason, even as the withdrawer. I was able to fight for this in a different way than maybe she has been fought for before. So
that's so true. And I'll tell you this, we came back to this particular fight multiple times and re-apologized. I have apologized and let him know and reassured him. And we hear that a lot where people's like, I've already apologized for that. Why do I have to bring it up again?
It still hurts.
As long as I recognize, even as we have been talking about this within this 20 minutes, we both teared up, because it hurts me to know I hurt him, and it hurts him to know I was in such a bad place. And so we want to show up for each other, and that's what we want to try to help you guys do, show up for each other, which is why we want to break down these fights and give you guys a little bit more awareness of what is happening behind the eyes of your partner, in their brain, in their heart, in their body. Some of these moves that happen send such horrible messages that if we could get in that space with our partner and let them know it's not true what they believe about themselves or what they believe about their relationship, we really have a chance to make it secure. Yeah.
So thank you so much for listening to us. Our connect point around this one is, it's kind of simple, really. We want to ask you just to say, hey, I'm going to do my best to give you grace in the places where you've been hurt.
And just consider those times when it gets really bad to be able to say, man, how can I catch my partner there? But grace is huge. And just that commitment that says, I really want to try to see what is going on for my partner when we have these fights. That's what we want you guys to be able to talk about. That's it. Our time for not only this episode, but that wraps up this series, The Anatomy of a Fight. We hope that you've enjoyed it. We love to get feedback from you. We would love for you to connect with us. You can email us. You can connect with us through our website, therealimhoffs.com. And if you have a chance and you'd like to, you can rate or review us. That really helps us out. We always love when you share our podcast with another couple that you think might benefit from us. We're excited because our next series is going to be Home for the holidays. Thanks so much for listening.
Excited for that. I love a little bit of like eggnog or whatever. That's just so delicious. Anyway, thank you for sharing this with us. We'll wrap it up. Y'all have a good week.